Hello and welcome to WCP's exclusive video of the 78th Giro d'Italia. I'm Phil Liggett and, as always, it's a pleasure to guide you through another top bike race. This year the Giro lost its tag as being a training race for the Tour de France. It was hard, very hard, and found a truly outstanding winner. The route totalled almost 4,000 kilometres to the Dolomites and the Alps and attracted 22 teams of 9 riders each, a field bigger than the upcoming Tour de France. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not sure all the riders did. And almost the whole field now have come back together on this opening stage of 205 kilometres going from Perugia to Terni. And I must say it didn't look this way earlier on. There was a breakaway of some 16 riders. In that leading group was the hot favourite Tony Rominger, and not in that front group were the two Gay-Wiz riders Evgeni Berzin and Piotr Ugrumov. And not surprisingly, it was the Gay-Wiz team who chased down the breakaway. So they've come all together, and the riders in the yellow jerseys down there are Mercatoni Uno, and now they're trying to set the finish up for their fastest man in the world. He says that, not me, Mario Cipollini, the Line King. And the rain again has started to fall here. It's been under grey skies for most of the day, most unlike the weather we expect on the opening stage of the Tour of Italy, which is starting in the middle of the leg of Italy itself. Now the sprint is beginning, and Mercatoni Uno trying to bring through Mario Cipollini. Cipollini in the centre, waiting to burst out of the pack. Also in this lead group too is Johan Capio in the red jersey, the former champion of Belgium, now on the Italian Renfin team. And it's a very, very good sprint. It most certainly is the sort of sprint that Cipollini would like to take on. And he's thinking now of the Maglia Rosa, the jersey he's always promised himself in the first stage. And now he's coming clear. And Capio and Mario Manzoni are the two chasing him, but they won't get him. On the line, Cipollini takes it very clearly for Mario Manzoni. So what a start for the tall Italian, having a great season this year. And now, as a reward, he becomes the first leader of the Tour of Italy. And he's never done that before. And he's now the leader, taking into account time bonuses by 4 seconds over Manzoni. In fact, they show Van den Abel as third here. It was, in fact, his teammate, Johan Capio, taking that third place. So for the moment, Capio is 8 seconds behind Cipollini, the race leader. Now we move on to the first individual test. There was no prologue in this year's Giro d'Italia, and the riders now facing up on stage 2 to a 19 kilometres individual time trial between Foligno and Assisi. And as you can see, the sting in the tail is a tough little climb that comes all the way up to the finishing line and will certainly prove crucial. Evgeni Berzin, the man who shone last year in the Tour of Italy and actually beat Miguel Indurain in the time trial. Indurain not here. He feels this race is too hard this year. He's continuing to prepare, and prepare very well indeed for the Tour de France. But Evgeni Berzin, who won this race with a great confidence last year, is now probably going to find that the challenge will not only come from Tony Rominger, the Swiss rider, but also from his own teammate Piotr Ugrumov, who was second to Miguel Indurain a couple of years ago. Rolf Sørensen, and the rain again falling. We're not very far away from the previous day's start, in fact, and the rain staying here in the centre of Italy. Rolf Sørensen, the Danish rider, stage winner last year of the Tour de France stage into Montpellier. And this rider here is Fabio Fontanelli. And in his sights and going through is Evgeni Berzin, who's picking the riders off. So it looks like the little Russian is beginning to ride back to his old form here. These are the sort of conditions I suspect that the former Soviet riders should enjoy. They're very hard men indeed, although Berzin now a resident of Italy and perhaps enjoying brighter conditions as a rule. Tony Rominger, the pressure on this man, 3 times in succession the winner of the Tour of Spain, that in itself a record, now comes for a real crack at the Giro d'Italia. He knows that today he must impress Zenon Jaskula, hoping to get a late selection for the Tour de France this year. His team still left out, and he wants a good performance. He doesn't even go up to the time set by Ugrumov, who's already gone. And Rominger is away. The very narrow streets that typify this beautiful country. And the arrival of Berzin, you can see the time of Ugrumov on the screen at 26:13.7, 26 minutes dead for Berzin, so he puts 13 seconds exactly into his teammate. So the battle for team leadership there for the moment swinging to Berzin, the defending champion. MAURIZIO FONDRIEST, the eternal second on the circuit this year, now looking to break that and try and get a victory along the road. The start, very hazardous indeed. And the man who won the sprint yesterday, Mario Cipollini, he won't be feeling confident of retaining this leader's pink jersey. He's certainly not a time trial specialist, although in the team time trial, with the help of a strong team, he has won those. Tony Rominger settling in, the world hour record holder, who everybody feels may have put that record on the shelf, in excess of 55 kilometres covered in the hour. And then he's proving to us right now he's got the speed. And this is the first time check in the town of Spello, approximately 8 kilometres covered, and Rominger is a little bit down on the star names of this year's race. In fact, he's going through, even with Cipollini to come, only in 5th best time. So he's made a very sedate start here in the bad weather. Meanwhile, Claudio Chiappucci is heading towards the finish, and it's not a good time for Claudio, twice the runner-up in the Giro d'Italia. He's lost 55.8 seconds to Evgeni Berzin, who's home and not so dry. But Casagrande has also finished with a great time of 25:56, and now this is the arrival of Rolf Sørensen, who has been setting the trend out on the course. Has he maintained it up the hill? 25 minutes and 52 seconds. That is the new best time for Rolf Sørensen of Denmark. And now just Tony Rominger to match that, and he's going to be very, very close indeed. But Rominger is going to get the best time. He must have made a tremendous climb up to the finish here to get the better of Rolf Sørensen. 25:05. 47 seconds quicker than Sørensen. What a climb he did up to the summit here. Now let's go back out to MAURIZIO FONDRIEST, the Italian, who is trying to match the stars now, surprisingly, who are Rominger, Sørensen and Casagrande. Fondriest splits them. He gets 3rd place, 25:52. And now Mario Cipollini, the pink jersey, we'd almost forgotten about him, out there on the course by himself today in the rain. He comes up to the finish, and not a bad ride either, but he's out of the pink jersey, only 10th best for Mario Cipollini. So predictably, Cipollini has lost his overall lead after one day in pink. It now goes across to Tony Rominger, and it's his first day ever in the pink leader's jersey, and if he intends to keep this all the way to the finish, then he has a real race on his hands. 5 hours, 40 minutes, 56 seconds. He's been racing for 2 days now. Fondriest is second at 43 seconds back. Rolf Sørensen up to third, 49 seconds down. This is Marotta on the shores of the Adriatico, the Adriatic Sea, and it's here where the riders are now facing up for stage number 3 from Spoleto. It's a ride of 161 kilometres, and it really should be a day for the sprinters, but you can never be certain as they wend their way out to the beautiful seaside resort at Marotta. Not too many challenges out on the course, and as they pop up out of the hole in the road here, this is the first Inter-Giro sprint of the day, and keeping up the rhythm in the sprint is Mario Cipollini. Always enjoys a good battle of shoulders. And Cipollini in that interim sprint competition racing for the blue leader's jersey, which is currently worn today by MAURIZIO FONDRIEST. Now the riders having covered the comparatively slow speed there of nearly 35 kilometres in the first hour. And this picture designed to make us all dizzy as we see the complete field in the Giro d'Italia, 198 of them. And so Tony Rominger, happy ensconced in this group, defending a 43-second lead over MAURIZIO FONDRIEST, and Francisco Casagrande is the 4th, Berzin is 5th, Cipollini currently in 6th place, and bonuses again on the line today. And Cipollini no doubt conscious of that. Now this little breakaway getting clear, 51 kilometres from the finish. Paolo Lanfranchi, Giorgio Furlan, Andrea Taffi, Massi and Piccoli. And Piccoli and Lanfranchi on the same Brasiliat team. The other two represent Gewiss, Mapei and Refan. And they're making a gain now, I would say, of around about a minute and a half over the field. There's no real big name in that breakaway group, so there's no reason for the Mapei, who've all got the front of the bunch here, to chase them down. It's more likely to be the Mercatoni Uno riders if they're thinking of Cipollini for the stage win. And not surprisingly now, the yellow jerseys of Mercatoni have got themselves to the front to give Mapei a hand in the chase down. And the weather has changed much for the better. This is a flat, and this indeed is MLELLI, the rider who won a stage of the Tour de France in Great Britain last year, down in Portsmouth, and he's having his best season ever. It just shows you what a victory does. And MLELLI is back out chasing. He should get back because the field is settled down quite nicely here now as Mercatoni brings it all back together again. And now you get the reason why. 52 kilometres an hour set by the boys who ride a very good team time trial when they get the chance. And right now they're doing it again here and thinking of their man Mario Cipollini. This is the leading group, and you can see they decided to throw in the towel. They're looking over the shoulder. The red jersey there is Rodolfo Massi from the Refin team, and that's the reason why Massi is the first to surrender, but they're all going to come back. Just Andrea Taffi trying to go clear here, and I think he's still got with him Giorgio Furlan, but they're going to have to give up very shortly because the train is in full flight here. And Mercatoni Uno have got all men up front, and they're towing at the back of that chain Mario Cipollini onto the coast and swinging round towards the finish now. So this is going to be another big sprint, and again the riders who are going to mix it up, they're going to have to see if they can take on Mario Cipollini once more. The end of just 100 miles of racing. Cipollini's got the front two. Capio in the reds trying to get through again. J.SVORADA on the left, but look at it, he made it look very easy indeed. Mario Cipollini gets the stage win. Johan Capio on the far right on the rails takes second place, and Citerio from the AKI team, he'll be there in the third slot. And there's confirmation of the overall situation at the end of the third stage, and no change at all. And Rominger still holding on, 43 seconds ahead of Fondriest and Rolf Sorensen. And so we move on to stage number 4. And 2 stage wins in the bag for Mario Cipollini. That's a rather familiar scene for him in a big stage race in the early part of it. This is the route they face, going from Mondolfo to Loreto, 192 kilometres, staying more or less on the coast of the Adriatic Sea. But this is a course with a difference, because right towards the end of the route, you see the profile looks the same all the way along. That's because they do 5 identical 23-kilometre circuits. And here's the rider who has set this race alight today, Fabrizio Bontempi. No relation, by the way, to the famous Guido Bontempi, who's won almost a dozen stages of the Giro d'Italia over the years. But this is the less significant member of the group. 140 kilometres he's been out in front, and the main field has slowly wound him in. And the Mapei riders all around Rominger today, because the feeling is that this could be a very crucial stage. No major mountain climbs, but a very difficult circuit indeed, worthy of a world championship. And the crashes are happening as well. 105 is Angel Camargo of Kelme. The 2 boys in red who are having a rough time here are Carlos Galarreta, Jose Maria Uria. The road, in fact, had just been resurfaced, and quite clearly it's caused a bit of a problem. Now onto the climb here, and Tony Rominger in the pink, quite literally, has got his Mapei team organised well as they go over the top. And Podensana, the champion of Italy, not too far off his wheel either. Now this is a difficult stretch of the road, these 23-kilometre circuits. And again, the pressure is going on at the front. A number of riders still trying to break clear here. And this is an attack now by Antonio Finelli. But it looks as though the Mapei riders are paying very close attention. Onto the climb again. Still Rominger has the riders at the front. He rides 4th on the wheel of his team. He knows that this field could split on this very difficult climb indeed. Well, this has been a tremendous circuit, in fact, well worthy, as I said earlier, of a World Championship event. And Rominger has shown just what a strong man he is today. Berzin is on the left of our picture, to the right shoulder of Tony Rominger. So he sensed too that this could be a crucial stage in the Giro d'Italia. Not too sure about the race referee's car being right where it was just there, as the Gawies team now start to turn the screw and test the Mapei boys. Go the devil. Well, that is an allusion there towards Claudio Chiappucci. And the Gawies riders trying desperately now to break up the grip of Mapei. It looks like Bruno Kengialta here on the front, who's stretching them clear, but Rominger is keeping an eye on him. And this is David Rebellin, 1 win this year, which came just before the start of this race in the Tour of Trentino. And they've got 15 seconds. They climb up now towards the end of this stage. But the whole field, although it's split up quite considerably, this is a very select big bunch actually, around about 50 or 60 riders. They try to chase the 2 leaders. Claudio Chiappucci this is. Twice second, once third in the Giro, but never the winner. He's come up against just 1 or 2 men, always better than him. And Chiappucci trying to drag the race back together. One thing about Il Diablo, he never gives up attacking. And he's trying to go alone on a difficult stage. There's definitely the possibility of gaining small time gains here today. And it's a very, very difficult course for any team to control the race properly. Chiappucci trying to reach Rebellin and Kengialta, and he's going to do it as well. 3 very strong riders getting together at the front. They all know each other extremely well. But it may well come too late, because it looks as though Chiappucci is going to be the forward emissary for quite a big group coming up. And the pink jersey of Rominger, you can spot him quite clearly, is third in that line. So despite the nature of a very difficult course and the distance of 192 kilometres today, it looks as though the pink jersey of Tony Rominger is coming right back into contention here. And there's been a crash on the corner. There's one of the riders from the Lampre team has gone off on the bend there. Well, service is at hand. And a quick push back into the race, but it was a shame because he was right on the front of the main field there. Now, inside the last kilometre to go here. The race is all coming together. And again, a complete misjudging of the right-hand bend there by the Gay-Wiz rider. Vladislav Bobrik, the former Soviet rider, used to ride for the Red Guard and well known for taking the lead for almost a week in the Tour du Pont a few years ago and winner last year of the Tour of Lombardy. Bobrik trying to go, but he's being reached by none other than Tony Rominger here. Rominger, you can see they can all see each other, but they're all going so slowly on what is a very difficult climb. Rominger is sweeping through here and really stamping his pure class on the Giro d'Italia. Winner of the time trial stage, Tony Rominger, is now taking out a road race stage, and he's going to take it in grand style. He's stamping on the pedals on the climb here. Up to the finishing line for the last time. The crowd have been entertained to a very, very difficult stage of the Giro today, and Tony Rominger is going to gain time on everybody. Rominger hits the line, gets the victory. Stage win number 2 of this year's Tour for him. Fondriest it is who crosses the line in second place. Then it's Casagrande, followed by Claudio Chiappucci, hung on well there to finish in 4th place. A battle of the giants indeed, and Tony Rominger has proven now he really is the man to beat in this year's race. And the route continues down the eastern coastline of the leg of Italy, now racing from Porto Recanati to Tortorito Lido. A ride of 182 kilometres, and the lead now of Tony Rominger over Maurizio Fondriest is 51 seconds. And Francisco Casagrande still surprising with a great 3rd place, 1 minute 7 seconds back. Last year's defending champion Berzin is 4th, 1 minute and 15. And this breakaway of 36 riders in the beginning escapes after 24 kilometres of the stage has been covered. It's thinning out a little bit now, and the illusion of it always being bright, warm, sunny weather in Italy again being broken today as the rain comes down on what is a very green part of the country. And the main field here, under the guidance, not surprisingly, of Mapei, although they're not very inspired at the moment, has allowed the breakaway to gain a maximum of 10 minutes and 30 seconds. And in that breakaway, we have Rolf Sorensen, the big danger, being allowed to escape. He was up to 3rd place overall, remember, after his time trial. And now he is the race leader on the road. So sooner or later, the Mapei team are going to have to come out and show us again their skills. Although it must be said that when Tony Rominger took over the Maglia Rosa at the end of stage number 2, he did say he didn't want to keep it all the way to the finish in Milan. So this may be the time for Rominger to stay close, but take the pressure away from the team and allow a new leader in the Tour. And it will be Rolf Sorensen. Sorensen just passing through our picture on the right there. This is the breakaway group. And they've gone very, very steady, but what they don't know, or what they may know, is there's still quite a climb to come before the finish. Gelfi, number 46, who has just passed through, and the sun catching the cameras now. That's Maria Chiesa, A very consistent rider. Oh, and there's a crash gone down in a bunch, a touch of wheels and pulled down 3 or 4 riders there. That is what happens on the slower sections of the course. A moment's lack of concentration, a touch of wheels, and they're down like a pack of cards. I don't think that rider's injured. But the crash, we believe, being caused by the Russian rider P.TONKOV. And I think it's Tonkov down there in the Lampre jersey, who's still left on the roadside. This is Mario Chiesa sitting up near the front. And Erik Breukink, the team leader, or at least carrying the team leader's number on the Onse team. And the group is now down to 4 minutes 30 seconds. It's no longer 36 riders strong either. And so the riders, the gap is closing, but the finish is going to elude the main field. And these are the 4 survivors of the breakaway. Mario Chiesa, now Rolf Sorensen is going for the finish, followed by Filippo Casagrande and Erik Breukink. They're the men who are trying to make it to the line now. Sorensen taking on Filippo Casagrande in his first Giro d'Italia. He gets a stage victory. And Sorensen will have to be content with second. Breukink is in third place, but the time gains in the end were not enough for Rolf Sorensen. The pink jersey staying on the shoulders of Tony Rominger today. And I'm not surprised Filippo Casagrande in tears. He's beaten some big names. And there he is, Filippo Casagrande, the younger brother of Francisco Casagrande. Perhaps his brother's more famous, but he's got the stage win. And so, on to stage number 6 of the 78th Giro d'Italia, and the riders now heading from Trani to Taranto. 165 kilometres going inland, away from the Adriatic Sea. Not a lot to worry the riders. The hills still to come in this very difficult tour route this year, but there are 1 or 2 ups and downs, and those who want to attack the occasion surely is there today. We're now at 63 kilometres from the finish here. There's hardly been an attack all day, in fact, and the riders enjoying the rather sunny conditions which have at last arrived on the Giro d'Italia. The overall lead is still with Rominger, 51 seconds ahead of Fondriest, a minute 7 against Francisco Casagrande, and a minute 15 on the defending champion Berzin. And you see, the job of a domestique is not just setting the pace for a teammate either. In this case, Miguel Peña is having to give Tony Rominger a helping hand. So quite clearly the field enjoying the day, and no real attacks coming, but the finish will be coming shortly, and they won't want to give it all to the sprinters as Rominger takes a drink and goes back into the thick of the fray. This is Bruno Chengialta here, and according to the caption on his wheel is Paolo Lanfranchi. Chengialta being particularly active in the Giro so far. Very, very good rider indeed, former stage winner in the Tour de France as well. And now the peloton is being pulled out into a much, much longer line. A sign that they're getting a little bit angry, I think. Chengialta, Lanfranchi is the rider setting the pace. And we're heading now towards the Inter-Giro Sprint, which is the interim competition, the sprinters' competition. Sometimes called the hot spot along the route where there's an individual prize. And this little gap now has got 38 seconds. They weren't interested in the special sprint at all. They wanted time over the field. Lanfranchi, Chengialta. 2 strong teams backing them up. And it could well be that they could spoil the fun here, the sprinters, as we head into Taranto. And in fact, there's a puncture. Chengialta has signalled to his team car. He has a front wheel puncture. Now Moreno Argentin is in that gave his team car. The former top Italian and ex-world champion won his first world title, let's not forget, in America, when the world championships were in Colorado Springs in the mid-80s. And a good wheel change, and he's back into the thick of the fray, but I'm afraid that that is going to destroy the rhythm of Bruno Chengialta. And he can't be too far ahead of the field, and there they are in full cry as well. So they're going to have Bruno, and then I think they'll pick up Paolo Lanfranchi as well. And so Lanfranchi looks over his shoulders. He's going to see the field, although he's sticking doggedly to his task here. The Brescia team had a victory yesterday with Casagrande, but I don't think that the pendulum will swing his way again today. There they are, and they're not even racing that quickly because they're all ganging up now to decide which one is going to start the attack. There's still 20 kilometres, that's around about 12 miles from the finish. There's still time to play another card before the sprinters come into it. This This isn't the sort of road, though, I must say, to encourage attacks. These long, straight, wide autostradas are not the place for the sprinters to pull away from the front of the field. The domestiques are going to work hard to hold this together. They're chasing down Lanfranchi and they're reaching him. The strategy, an immediate counter-attack. And this looks like an attack going now from the Amore Vita team on the right. But quickly back together. These are the difficult moments in any stage of a big race, when the attacks come all the time as riders try to break up the field. And then they gradually get them pulled back together again. And this is Roland Meyer from TVM, who's now put his head down and he lives in hope that he'll go clear of the field. 149th overall and just over half an hour down. He's lost all of that in just under 900 kilometers of this year's Giro d'Italia. Now this isn't the coast, by the way. We're now arriving at Taranto. This is a lake. And the riders coming in towards the finish and all getting themselves back together again. The Gavies team setting the pace. They've got two men likely candidates for final victory now, with Ugrumov and Berzin both up there in the overall classification. But the sprinters again are going to have their day, and Cipollini has got his men once again organised for his third win here. And Cipollini comes out from the left of our picture now. We've also got on there, in fact, we've got the pink jerseys too trying to get through there now. J.SVORADA is behind Cipollini on his wheel. And Nicola Minali is also coming through now. This is going to be a great sprint finish, but Cipollini looks as though he's not very happy at all with the result of this one. He's been washed away, and Minali's going to get it on the line. Nicola Minali takes it on the line ahead of Cipollini, who is in the mauve jersey here as the leader of the points competition. But for this occasion, at least, he has to be content with second place. But even so, he'll keep the lead in the points, while the stage win has gone to Nicola Minali, and this his 8th win of his most successful season so far. Tony Rominger untroubled today. He holds his overall lead by 51 seconds ahead of MAURIZIO Fondriest, and Casagrande is third, 1:07. Berzin fourth, Ugrumov is fifth. And you go right down to P.TONKOV, who's had one or two ups and downs. He's in 7th place. And the race route today, the 7th stage from Taranto, goes right around the Gulf of Taranto before it finishes in Terni, Luigiani, 216 kilometres, and the hill coming just before the end, and that's the sort of hill that the climbers will look at to try and break away from the field. Here's our view, Italian television are giving us, of the finish. All we've got to do now is ride the 216 kilometres to get there. The beautiful blue waters here. And I must say, Italy, a very inviting country indeed. Unless, of course, you're riding the Giro d'Italia. And on a very tortuous descent, a breakaway here of 6 riders. Udo Bolz is in it, so too is Mario Chiesa, Finelli and Elli. And it looks as though they're being hunted down by none less than the sprint king himself. And that's Mario Cipollini riding in blue, because he leads the sprint competition, the Inter-Giro, as well as the points competition. And so today he's pulled on the blue jersey as leader of the sprint. And Rominger himself has joined him at the front. Now, Rominger probably keeping out of trouble here, because this is quite a difficult area of the countryside. The roads are narrow, it's dangerous. But it is unusual, I must confess, to see the pink jersey taking such an interest on a stage like this. And Cipollini too, normally a sprinter, is having a go to try and reach this breakaway of 6 men. You get some idea there, the tortuous descent, they drop down. And there's no doubt about the strength of these 2 riders if they can work clear of the field, but the field, I would think, in a little bit of disarray, and not surprisingly, Gawiz are bringing it back into order. Ugrumov and Berzin certainly not allowing the pink jersey too far a lead here. So Berzin has got to the front of that group and brought it back into order as we continue on the descent. And the whole field has more or less got back here. This is still the breakaway, but they're only hovering just in front of the group. And I would think that Mario Cipollini, time is running out for the big sprinter, because the hills will be coming shortly, and so he's trying to bring this break of 6 back personally, so he can line himself up for the finish down in Luigiani. Of course, he may be disappointed today when he gets there, because the finish is a slight drag uphill and not really a finish for Cipollini at all. Thomas Davy having made this group as well, member of the Benesto team, and having to face up probably to two big tours this year, because Miguel Indurain in the upcoming Tour de France will rely a lot on Thomas Davy, the Frenchman, because he's such a strong rider. Inside 14 kilometers from the finish now, and this looks like Sergei Uchikov, who's trying to have a little dig at the front. And slowly but surely the riders are climbing up to the heights towards the finishing line, and there's still this breakaway is just about hanging on. Uchikov is bringing across the main field. A lot of power in this young man's legs as well. And he's going to reach them first, almost certainly. And the pink jersey never far away from the front. What a great race that Tony Rominger is riding. And remember, this is only in the first full week of the Giro d'Italia. Uchikov hanging on to his rhythm nicely. Well, he was, but he's lost it completely.